bittersweet for me because it has been a fun and I dare say interesting ride over these last 7 years. I'm looking at a lot of you that we've been through a lot over these past 7 years. Construction, COVID, staff, changes, you name it. But I will tell you, it has been an honor for me to be a part of this community, part of this team, if you will. And I want to thank you for the grace and love that you have shared with me. And I will tell you, although in my capacity, I will still be supporting Friends Homes, maybe just in a different role, I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you because it has been a pleasure for these last 7 years, getting up every morning, knowing I'm coming in and I get to see you, see the team. But I will tell you, with 100% confidence, we have got a great, great community. And we do have a great, great team. And so I'm excited for you. I'm looking forward. I will stay in touch because I want to see what exciting things are going on. But I just want to say thank you for all that you have done for me. And I wish you nothing but the best. But I want to turn it over to Hank, kind of talk a little bit about the transition, if that's okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Arnie. Yeah, I can't bend over that far. Well, I know that's tough news, you know, I think the best part of the news for all of us really is that Arnie's not going away. He'll remain a part of the organization, supporting Friends Homes as well as the other communities in the organization, and still be available to you all and to all of us really. So I mostly want to congratulate Arnie on this opportunity and for what it's going to mean for the entire organization, but also want to thank him for all that he's done here. Some of you know this, but many of you may not. Arnie was preceded by a person who was the CEO here for over 30 years, I think 33 or 34 years. Wilson Sheldon was the CEO. So under any circumstances, it would be tough to follow a person who had been here for that long. And Arnie's done, I think, an amazing job of trying to live up to the values of the organization and be a support to all of the team members and to all of the residents. A lot has been accomplished during the last 7 years that we owe Arnie a great deal of gratitude for. Arnie really was a leader in helping to reconstitute and reshape the Board of Trustees that was a little kind of loose, frankly, when we got here. We've done a strategic plan that has continued to be updated every year that Arnie led on. The master plan for the life and the future of the community and the organization. Certainly through COVID, providing tireless leadership and all of this construction. It's been a tough task, and Arnie's done it with dignity and respect, and certainly with enormous energy and passion. So Arnie, we want to thank you, and we owe you deep gratitude for all of that. And again, Arnie's not going far. So first of all, Arnie's not leaving tomorrow. Arnie will be here for the next 30 days or so. So around the middle of August. Right now we've targeted August the 11th, I think is what would be his last official day, as it's planned for now. And then in the interim, and Arnie's part of Arnie's transition and absence here, I will be here serving as the interim executive director, supporting hopefully you all and the rest of the team, and doing my best in that regard. And so my full focus will be here. We have other communities, as you all know. They're all in good hands. Tim and the rest of the team at the management office will be stepping up to handle some other duties so that I can be here with the vast majority, if not all, of my time and energy. And I look forward to knowing some of you more. And so the last thing I think just for me to mention is I've had a question or comment here or there about the Board of Trustees and whether they're aware and engaged in these sorts of conversations and decisions and what else is going on. And the answer is absolutely. The leadership of the Board of Trustees has been very involved all along, frankly, and certainly in recent months, a little bit more so. And so they're providing counsel and support, and I think in some regard you may see and hear from more of them in the future. But really, that was it for now. We just wanted to share that information and news with you today. Don't have any other agenda items, but wanted to share that and make sure you understood what was happening with Arnie and the transition. I'm happy to try and answer any questions if there are any about any of that that we know right now.
Introduce yourself.
Oh, sure. So, yeah, Arnie mentioned I was here before. I'm Hank Lovren, Vice President of Operations for the Presbyterian Homes, or Brightspire. Sorry, Tim. I've been with the organization 15 years. I have a wife, Laura, and a daughter, Molly. We live in Greensboro, not too far away, actually. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Will Matt still be here?
Yeah, that's. Sorry. We got our mics too close or something. Yeah, the question was, what about Matt? Will he still be around? Absolutely. In fact, he's right there. And he'll still be here in his role supporting, again, all of you and the staff.
Trying to find the path of least resistance. I want to hold it far away from you.
I have a question that really comes out of the meeting where it was announced about the proposed merger. And that is what, in terms of Brightspire managing Friends Homes, what services does Friends Homes receive from Brightspire? And how much does it cost?
Can you hear me okay? It's a good question. So there's a multitude of services that we provide and support out of our office. And in fact, I was thinking this morning it might be good for you all to meet some of the people in our office over the coming months so that you can know who they are and what they do in the organization. So just off the top of my head, certainly there's accounting and financial support that occurs at a pretty significant level. That's audits and reporting, financial statements, and a whole host of other things. There's sales and marketing support, there's IT support, there's clinical support, corporate compliance support, risk management, human resources, construction services for larger capital items. What am I missing? And development, meeting, fundraising, yeah, and just general operations support as well. Am I missing anything else? Yeah. Those represent actual folks, team members in our office who do work. Of course, if we need outside services, whether it's like legal services or audit services, then we contract with those.
And who are the people here who are Brightspire employees?
Yeah, so the question is, who here are actual Brightspire employees? So here, Arnie, Matt, and Hannah, who's on vacation this week, the healthcare administrator, are employees of Brightspire.
Hey, you might mention the cost is 5%
Oh.
of revenue.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't answer your question about costs. There's a kind of an industry standard for these type of arrangements. It's a percentage of revenue, so there's operating revenue here within the organization, and the fee for the services and the support is 5% of the operating revenue. Sir?
At the last meeting, you said this merger is going to take place at the end of December. And my question is, are there any things that could happen that would make it fall through?
I'm not the best person to answer that, so Tim is here, he's the CEO. We really didn't want to talk about the merger too much today, but I'm sure there's a lot of curiosity about that. Certainly there are many things I think that could occur for us to not cross the finish line. There's a significant due diligence effort that's going on right now with attorneys and others to ensure that each organization is fully transparent with the other, particularly around legal issues or risk issues or contractual issues. But there are other things around culture and fit and just comfort level, I think, that come into play when you talk, especially about nonprofit organizations coming together in a merger. It's not a typical corporate, for-profit, Google's acquiring Apple sort of transaction. So I think there are some other kind of culture, soft issues that could, any number of those things could. I'll be honest with you, from where I sit, and again, Tim's leading the effort on behalf of our organization, along with the board of governors for Brightspire. There isn't anything that's come up yet that would say, hey, red flag, this looks like it could be a deal breaker. But anything could occur. Is that fair to say, Tim? And so, yes, and you're correct about the timeline. The goal, anyway, I think it's fair to say, too, that if issues come up that need more research, more due diligence, then the timeline could, in theory, be pushed out. The goal is to not rush to do something, is to do it well at the right time, I think. Yes, sir.
Hank, one of my concerns is with the continuing care industry and facility that we have here is significantly larger in population and operational issues. My main question is, you mentioned you're here on an interim basis. The person who will be hired eventually to become what you call the executive director.
Right.
Would that person normally come from within the present Brightspire organization, or would you be open to consulting with an independent agency in terms of bringing someone in outside of Brightspire to become the executive director or manager of this entire complex?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you're right, this is a big community, especially between the two campuses. In fact, on Monday, I was kind of counting up the number of folks who live at friends' homes between the two campuses. And as of the best math I got was 711. Does that sound about right, Arnie? And of course we have folks scheduled to move into the villa apartments still. So in your mind, you could think, hey, about 725 people will end up living here. It's a lot. As far as who will be the next executive director, we look internally and externally. I'll tell you in all candor, I don't think there's a candidate internally in our organization at the other communities who might step into that role. So we'll be doing what I'll call a national search. So we have folks who we just know in the industry that we've talked to in the past that we'll be reaching out to see where they are in their career, and then we'll be recruiting nationally for the position. So I think this is very much an outward search, but others in the organization, if they want to raise their hand and participate in the process, certainly would be allowed to. We always encourage that. But right now, just being honest with you, at our other communities, I don't see someone who would be fitting that bill. Does that answer your question?
For now.
Oh, okay. If not, I'll try harder. Just let me know what part I missed.
Let me follow up on
Sure.
one thing. It sounds like this is a long-term process of looking outside of Brightspire to get the right candidate to present to the trustees or your people. So during the interim period, beyond the next 30 days, when you would commit to being here,
Right.
where will we have the continuity in terms of overall management of the facility during this interim period of time, which could conceivably last up to a year if you're going to search national?
Yeah, so, okay, first piece, next month, Arnie's still here. I'm beginning to lean in a little bit more with Arnie and Matt and Hannah and the rest of the team to get up to speed on issues and things that are in process and in progress. So hopefully my coming in will be, I'll have a little more of an advantage, obviously, than someone outside, because we're already talking and prepping. And I'm here regularly anyway, and aware generally of concerns or issues or things that we're doing. And then beyond that, I don't think it will be a year. If that's the case, I think Tim's going to have a different kind of problem with me. But It could take months, and I'll continue to be here until that time. So I don't see a period where we won't have someone in the leadership position. Arnie for the next 30 days and myself until we finish the search process.
If I could just add one thing, because Hank's too humble to say this. The board, Friends Homes board, one of the reasons that they've engaged Brightspire, they don't look forward to situations like this, but the opportunity to have Hank come in and work here for whatever time it takes to find the right person for Friends Homes going forward is an advantage to the management agreement, because normally you would go without an executive director, and Matt and Hannah would just, and the board would be expected to carry on. And it could be 3 months, 6 months, or 9. So by virtue of the management agreement, you get a Hank, and I think that's a real big advantage. He would not say that, but I will tell you, and he's done this before. Unfortunately, we had a turnover at one of our communities in Cary, our Cary community, Glen Eyre, about 2 years ago. And I think this one works better for him because he's about 6 miles away. That he was commuting to Cary just about every day.
Yeah, I don't want to make it sound easy and cavalier. I didn't mean to be like casual about it. We've been through this before, and so we're kind of know what's expected and what you deserve.
The other thing I would say is he will still keep up his other duties, so there's incentive for him and us to move the process along. Not to be hasty and pick the wrong person, but we're not going to sit back and wait. We'll move the process along.
Anything else?
It would be very helpful if this new person had a Quaker background, or at least some knowledge of that. We seem to be getting more and more away from the Quaker values that we had a number of years ago.
Understood. Certainly we will. Got it. Yep. Sir.
Hank, I'm Jim Stinson. The question that comes to mind is we've recently had our maintenance people go away.
Mike's not on.
Hello?
I can hear you. I'll repeat it if I need to.
Okay, so my question is, my assumption is that the looking process and the hiring process will not be interrupted.
Not at all. In fact, Arnie and I and Matt interviewed a candidate yesterday for the maintenance position, someone who I had a relationship with through some other work we do, and thought might be interested. He is, and I introduced them to Matt and Arnie yesterday, and he was here looking around, gauging his interest in the position. So not at all. I'll be honest with you, no one has more incentive to backfill those types of positions right now than I do. That position in particular has frankly been a little bit in flux for quite a while, and I'm really anxious to put that in good hands. And it's not just that one person. There's some other positions in that department that are key that we need to find and do a good job with.
With regards to insurance cost rise, can you project now or sometime shortly from now what the increases are going to be?
All right, so y'all, I just got here. I mean, Arnie's not even gone yet. You can ask me what the fees are? No, Arnie will come back and give that announcement in the fall as part of the finance and accounting team, if that's okay. No, I don't know. To be honest with you, we're in the middle of our budgeting process. Fiscal year starts 10/1. So our process is that we do the budgets kind of June and July, finalize those in August, make presentations to the Board of Trustees in September, and then roll into October with those new budgets. So the process is not complete. And so I in all honesty, I can't tell you. I would if I could. I just don't know what that's going to be yet. But I will you all know, you go to the grocery store, you buy gas, and well, you don't pay utilities in some cases, but you know, everything's up in my house. I know that the cost continues to be high for things that, in my mind, are kind of just too much. Ted.
I haven't heard you. Thank you, Jeff. I haven't heard much reference in these planning and meetings and things you're having with the residents of Friends Home.
Specifically, what way, Ted? Just
no involvement in hiring new people, no anything at all. I didn't hear you mention any residents at all in these procedures.
Yeah. Well, we haven't got that far yet, but of course, when we get to hiring an executive director, you know, it's my intent with some resident leadership to be able to introduce that person to some group of resident leadership here in at Guilford. We wouldn't want to make a hire without some of you in some leadership capacity being able to meet with those people. So that's a fair comment.
Please don't increase our rent.
Talking to Arnie?
Talking to you.
Yeah. Well, it was a quote, it was a question or a comment, I guess, or a joke maybe? Don't increase our rent.
Right.
Yeah, I cannot promise you that, and I will promise you that your rent will go up some. I just don't know how much. It has to.
Hank's doing a good job on this, but he's already said it, and I'm repeating a little bit what he said. And you all know this. We don't survive without these employees here. I mean, they provide service, they provide care, just almost any interaction that happens with you. And the dilemma we have is your fees versus satisfying they and their positions and their families. And their costs at home, whether it be for childcare, for electricity, for food, whatever it is going up substantially. And Arnie started with this. There's a great team here. We fight, we have too much turnover, in our opinion. And we want to keep these people. So we have to give them bump ups in wages, and we have done that. And I think you all want us to continue to do that. It ends up that affects your rate. So we're in this, we're caught in the middle about that. So just remember, almost 65 to 70% of every dollar you pay goes for these people's wages, health insurance, and other benefits. And it's in your best interest that we keep them. So that's what we battle there. One last thing, and I'm sorry, I always give me a mic, look out. One thing about this announcement today, this has nothing to do with the merger. This was happening before the merger, and let me tell you how and why. I was talking, some of you know Julia Hanover, some of you know her personally. She's been our CFO for 25 years. When she started, Brightspire was a $15 million a year company. It's now going to be, not with Wellspring, forget Wellspring, forget the merger, it's now going to be nearing 100 million. We've added in that time 2 accounting people, 0 in senior accounting. That's criminal on my part, not supporting finance in a way. And when we had an opportunity with Arnie's talent to bring that there to really correct a criminal act on our part in the area of a finance, it was a no-brainer. So that was happening regardless. So if there's questions about, well, the merger and then this happens, it's not the case.
All right, sir.
Has there been, or will there be, a delineation of risks from the perspective of the residents on the merger?
The question is there any delineation of risk as a part of the merger? between Brightspire and Wellspring and the residents of Friends Homes. So there is, make sure I say this right, Tim, in that really Friends Homes is not a part from a legal standpoint or a governance standpoint of the merger. So Friends Homes is its own legal corporation, has its own board of trustees that are responsible for the organization, and the organization and legal structure and financial structure of Brightspire and Wellspring are separate from that.
Okay, I just wondered what are the risks to me as a resident
Of the merger?
of the merger and to the other residents?
I don't think there's any risk. Yeah.
We have no loss, no potential loss.
Well, thank y'all for coming. Again, mostly thanks to Arnie for the last 7 years. This isn't the last chance for us to recognize him and thank him and say goodbye, of course. But Arnie, we're grateful for all the time and effort and the passion and the energy. We're gonna go over to Guilford and share this information now with them. But thank you for your time, and feel free to reach out and ask questions of Arnie or me or Matt as we go forward, okay? Thank you all very, very much.